Sunday Night Quarterback is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
Joining us now is Brady Cook, and everybody wants to know how you are feeling. How is the injured hand?
Yeah, physically I've been better. That's for sure. I wasn't able to finish the game yesterday and be out there with my team. And obviously, today my body's had better days, but I think it's perfect timing for the bye week. And, I'll make sure to get healthy and continue staying on track with our trainers. And like I said, perfect timing for the bye week. Let's get healthy, let's heal, and let's finish this stretch of 4 SEC games strong.
Let's go over how you injured it. I believe it was the second series. You fell awkwardly on the hand, and then a few minutes later, it was the follow-through where your hand hit an offensive lineman's helmet. Has it been x-rayed, and what more could you tell us about it?
Yeah, pretty unfortunate. It's just kind of the nature of football. And yeah, like you said, on that scramble drill to the right side on third down, I fell on it. And then another part of playing quarterback, sometimes you hit helmets on your follow through. That's not uncommon, and it happens. And unfortunately, that wasn't great timing, and that's never fun there. And outside of that, I can't say too much right now. I think the doctors and trainers are still kind of digesting and getting a good plan together, and just kind of seeing where we're at going into bye week. And it's going to be important because, these weeks are rare, and, I'm going to have time to heal and get better and get healthy and, really just get ready to go to finish this thing out strong.
So the way you're sounding, you're going to be back in a couple of weeks after the bye week and playing quarterback for the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, I think, I don't have a complete answer yet. But I know I will know soon. I'll know this week on where we're at. And, me, Frank, my goal is to play every game, to start every single game for Mizzou. And, I know I'm going to do my absolute best to do that.
Can you grip a ball?
I couldn't yesterday, that's why I had to come out, and I couldn't return just because I felt like, I could no longer, help our team win the game. And, that stinks because there's a lot of body parts we have, and of course, the one that might be the most important is your ability to grip and throw and follow through on a throw. And unfortunately, I tried for a long time yesterday, and eventually I just had to say, hey, I can't throw the ball anymore, and I had to let Drew take over.
How did the ankle hold up?
The ankle held up well. It's funny. When other things happen, you kind of forget about the main thing you were worried about. It's just super unfortunate that, you spend so much time last week, so much time prepping and rehabbing and just grinding to make sure you're out there and available to play in that type of game. And, when something happens on the second series to something else, it's just it's a buzzkill. And but I am glad that the ankle held up, and there was no further damage. And like I said, headed into a bye week, so it's great timing.
A difficult day for Drew Pyne. How would you evaluate it?
Yeah, I think it's tough. Anytime, a backup needs to come into a game, first of all, that means there's a tough situation at hand. And obviously on the road at Alabama against a great defense, he's facing a huge challenge. I watched the tape with him this morning. I think there's some throws he wants back. But at the same time, there was also some great plays he made. The scramble drill that he made on third down to go take a hit and get the first down. That was a big play. He had a big play on a rollout to Theo. And obviously, there were some unfortunate turnovers, and, interceptions happen, and it's a part of the game. It's a part of playing quarterback. The quarterback for LSU, I think, threw 3 interceptions last night, and you see them all across the country every single Saturday. And they're tough. They're not fun. It's hard to win games when you turn the ball over, but it's a part of playing the position. And I know he'll learn from it. I'll learn from it by watching with him. And we're both going to get better from it.
And we certainly don't want to place all the blame on Drew Pyne, because it looked like the wide receivers were not open at all yesterday. I guess Alabama's secondary lived up to the hype.
Yeah, they had a great game plan. They had a great game plan. They did some things that we didn't expect, honestly. They ran some stuff that was out of their characteristic, if you could say. And that's how it goes sometimes. This is a game. The opponent has a say in the fight too, and their defense did a great job. Their scheme and their DBs, their safeties made some great plays as far as attacking the ball down the field and reading eyes and understanding different concepts. And really shout out to their defense. They had a great plan.
You've played in some really difficult atmospheres. I'm wondering, was Tuscaloosa the most daunting, even more difficult than a place like Texas A&M?
Yeah, I think they're similar. I've played in some of the coolest SEC environments over my career, and you talk about playing at Tennessee in 22. Obviously, this year Texas A&M and Alabama. South Carolina is an unbelievable environment. I think they're all unique. They're all loud, that's for sure. The stadiums are built in different ways, and the fields are different. And everything's a new experience. And I can tell you this, I enjoyed Tuscaloosa for what it's worth. I know I didn't have a whole lot of fun on the field, but it's a great town, and the fans were pretty welcoming for the most part, and it was a cool environment. So I at least took that away from it.
Final thought: you are 17-4 as a starter. You're 6-2 and not 2-6. However, the college football playoffs seems to be a long shot. Tell me the motivation moving forward here, Brady.
Yeah, the reality is we have 4 SEC games to finish out the regular season. If we can win those 4, that puts us at 10-2. And whether that gets us into the playoffs or not, it might give us a fighting chance. And if we make it, that's great. If we don't, I think we can all hang our heads on 2 back-to-back 10-2 seasons here at Mizzou. I think that's progress. I think that's something to be proud of, and I think that's something to play for. So that's going to be the message. That's what I'm going to tell the guys. Hey, we have 4 games left. Let's go win them. 10-win seasons are hard to come by. There's only so many teams at the end of the season that are going to have 10 wins on their schedule that you can see. It's rare. It is. Whether it gets us into the playoffs or not, it's something to be proud for. It's something to play for, and that's the goal right now.